Okay, so welcome to week number 5. Things will start to pick up now. Some of you may think, oh, this will be easy peasy. Well, it will still be easy, but we have to work a little bit more together to make sure that we keep things easy and keep moving forward. But again, the workload will start to pick up from now on, because we have a lot of ground to cover. Some of them I'll be helping here. Some of them will be done by you. And you're going to have a little bit of a taste of that today. Maybe you're going to have some blank faces staring at the lecture today of so much that we're going to be talking about. But again, I'm here to, as much as possible, to try to make this process easy and that you can really draw some learning from this. Okay, I want to start by sharing with you some of the survey results. Remember the survey that you have done last week, the stop, start, and continue? I want to quickly share a few of the results with you about that. So I just took an aggregate from all the sections because I use the same format on all of my sessions. So I said, I'm just going to take the feedback in general and share. So again, that's the stop starts survey. So in terms of stopping, what is it that was the one thing that you asked the most for me to stop doing? Group presentation. So we didn't have too many fans of that group presentation style. I get it. The thing with that one is that it was a group presentation kind of surprise. We're going to have one group presentation to come. But at least you're going to have time to prepare, time to get ready ahead of time. It's not by surprise. So no more group presentation surprises going forward, okay? But we still have a project group work that has 3 elements, and one of those is a presentation. We're going to talk more about that later. So stop group presentation, stop long classes. I don't know if you can do anything. I don't know if you can do anything about that, to be quite honest, because we have so much to cover. Today we have 3 topics to discuss. And in the last section, I was only able to cover, actually I wouldn't say I'll say we were only able to cover 1 topic. So we have a lot to go through. I don't know if I can do anything about that though. So let's see. No promises here. Other things that you asked me to stop. Those were not massive, but stop the countdown. I love the countdowns. At least we have a reference point of how long do we have here. Oh, it's 5 minutes to go. In 5 minutes we're gonna get together and address this. I don't know. I'm a fan of the countdown. And I'm just mentioning this because maybe 1 or 2 people mentioned about that. So I'm not sure if I'm going to be doing anything about that. Any questions for bonus? I mean, I'm giving bonus, doing free bonus, without doing any bit of work. Come on, yeah? So I think bonuses are fair, And again, not many people said that. Actually, the opposite. A lot of people want me to continue doing the bonus, okay? Just want to mention, so I share that with you. Start. More examples, more hands-on, more practice. I get that. I get it. This was massive. A lot of people asked for that. A lot of people. Now, here's the thing. With MVC, every single little, even if it's a small project on MVC, there are so many steps that you have to go through that becomes hard to give a simple exercise, a simple hands-on exercise that will not take a lot of time because you have to set things up, you have to add this, you have to add that. The thing is that from now on, for the next 5 weeks, we're going to be covering this sports store exercise, example, walkthrough. It's an e-commerce application. So you're going to be practicing a lot with that. It will be, as you know, a mix of following the videos. I'm going to do some things here myself as well. So I will try. And someone also raised the good points. Maybe just provide exercise that we can do at home. And I don't even have to to go through them. If the person wants to ask me questions, they can. But again, it's additional stuff for whoever wants that. If you don't want, that's fine. Just don't do it. I'll try to add that. So it was a big one. 10 bits. Sorry. that the source dry outs. You know? Not who, many people mention that. You're gonna have more in our test one. We're gonna have some of that there. Others, fix Visual Studio. Okay, so here's what I'd like you to do and help me with that, because I did not do an assessment for this class yet. If you are in a workstation and you are not able to create a project from scratch in Visual Studio, tell me, because I'll be collecting the references of the stations and I'll send to the IT personnel that they will take care of fixing that. I did that for another class upstairs. I want to do it for this one as well. So again, if you come across a workstation that you are not able to create a Visual Studio project, let me know and I'll write that down and I'll inform the powers to be, you know, okay? Okay, continue doing. So bonus flipped class, this strategy of having a bonus, asking the questions, and then you come ready for class, knowing a little bit of the content already. So that's something that a lot of you said that you like that duo over there. The videos as well, the recordings in the walkthroughs as well. So that was something that was mentioned about continuing. And using Nearpods and Padlet and Nearpod as well. Some of the things that you said that I should continue. Okay, great. So any questions about that, about any of that? Talking about Padlets, I'll keep Padlet open as well. So you can always ask here in our Padlet, number 4. So, okay. Okay, so let's get to the juicy part today. Let me open the Visual Studio here. Okay, so week 5. Let me ask you this. Anyone want to share with me what is your expectations? What are your expectations for this class, for today's class? Not for the whole course, but today's class. Based on what you saw from the initial videos, what's your expectation about this today?
For videos, like you can describe a little bit.
Okay, awesome. I like that. I'll be doing that quite a lot. So we're going to be doing a bit of a combination of you try it yourself, and then I'll explain, I'll go through. There will be a lot of that. The thing is that, differently from the other ones, we have a lot of codes. Now, here's the thing. There will be some codes that you're going to see that you're going to have to trust me, and we have to. I will not explain line by line because there's a lot to go through. And I picked 3 topics for us to really dig deep today. If we get to the first, not if, we're going to get for sure through the first one. But again, you're going to see that we really have to work together for moving forward with this, because the first set, you have 14 videos. 14 videos, I ask you to go through the initial 4. Some of those videos, you're going to go on your own if you want to go more in depth on the contents. But some of those, I will be assisting here as well. So there will be don't expect me to go line by line of 14 videos of a full chapter of the book today, because we would need 6 hours, 7 hours to be able to go through that. But
You're covering 14 videos today?
So we are covering chapter 8 today. Chapter 8 is comprised of 14 videos. Are we going to go through all 14? No. I have selected the most 3 important topics of this chapter, and we're going to be covering that. We're going to be going through a few activities here to cover them. The other stuff, you can go on your own, but my point is that if I don't explain something here, I will not be asking you for that later in an assignment or in a test. I'll make sure that whatever I'm covering, whatever I'm talking about here, not just for the videos, but here with me here in front of you, that's the content that we're going to be covering the most in the assignments, in the tests. There will be some minor things. There are 3 minutes videos, 5 minutes videos. Some of those, it won't be possible. I'm not going to be here shoveling content to you because you're just going to be staring at me for 4 hours. I know that. I have experience with this class in the last semester. We've tried that. It doesn't work. So that's the reason why I'm focusing on the most important aspects of the chapter, and you have to trust me a bit on that. So again, I think thank you for the feedback. Any other expectations there? Database. That's the number one thing that we're going to be doing today. Database. We're going to be, and even that will be, I'll tell you up front, will feel a little bit overwhelming because there are a lot of moving parts. But trust me, it will become over time easier, okay? But a lot of moving parts. I'm going to focus on what's most important there. And the number one topic today is really database, okay? Perfect. So let's keep moving forward here. So I would aggregate the first 3 items as database. Understand data repository, work with databases, work with entity framework. This is, I would call this one single topic. That's the database part. That's the most important thing from this chapter. And we're going to cover that. My experience with the last class was that I was not able to get to this, but that's okay. We can get that because it's way less content. So if we are able to not rush and get this done right today, I'll be super happy. I'll be super, super happy, okay? As I said, you're going to be tired of looking at this diagram. And so I said that we're going to be talking about 3 topics. Well, most likely we're going to be covering just one. So we're going to start with that, okay? We're going to focus, we're going to zoom in this aspect here of our diagram, in our model, and the link between the model and the controller. We're going to be really focusing on that, okay? We're going to be talking about repositories. EF means entity framework. Entity framework is the framework. It is the set of libraries that we're going to be using to talk to the database, okay? That's what .NET Core provides to us. It provides this framework that will allow us to communicate with the database. More about that to come. So that's number one goal. Then either today or next class, most likely next class, we're going to be talking about routing. So we're going to be focusing on this aspect here, okay? Not a lot of content about that, but that's number 2 here, topic number 2. And then, well, I need to switch this to the top. We're going to be talking about partial views. In the views component of our diagram, we're going to be talking about partial views. What are partial views? Partial views is a way that you can have smaller chunks of the view, of a bigger view to be reused by different views. So it's called partial views. And again, if not today, next class, we're going to be addressing that. Book, chapter 8. So I'll mention that again. The next 5 weeks, you're going to be going through each week, chapter 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So 5 chapters, all focused on this sports store. Sports store is an e-commerce application that you're going to be enhancing and enhancing and enhancing. We have seen the beginning. We have done the part invites. Part invites, we covered that in about 2 classes, 2 days. Again, very basic. And then we recap some of the C# concepts that we went through. Then last week, we discussed about Razor, which are all around our views. And now, so think about this course as 3 stages this course has. the beginning with the first example of the part invites. 2 classes plus 2 more, which is C# and then Razor. So we have this phase and it's done, the first 4 classes. Then we have 5 classes now that we're going to go deeper into the MVC structure of our application. We're going to go visit a much more complex application on MVC. So that's the second phase. The third phase of the course, after we are done with Sports Store, is that we're going to revisit many of the concepts, that many of the areas that we have gone through on our Sports Store. We're going to revisit them and go one level deeper. So think about that as we went quickly, and then we went a little bit slower but deeper, and then we're going to go a little bit slower, but even deeper. So think about this course in 3 stages, and we are starting today the second stage of the course, okay? If you have the book, that's great, awesome. If you don't, well, between the videos and the code that I'll be sharing, it should be enough. But either the digital version or the hard copy, I mean, it will be greatly beneficial to you to have. But again, chapter 8 is today. You have submitted questions about the first 4 videos of the Sports Store. Keep them open, keep them close by. So if we don't address those questions today, you ask them. Place them on Padlet as we go through. You're going to have time to visit your questions, download your questions, have a look at them, see which ones later today, see which ones are still problematic for you, and clarify them. Post them on Padlet. I'm here to review, to address them, okay? So keep that close by. Great, okay. So database, entity framework, and repositories. Let's see where we're gonna be starting this from. So, as I said, you saw this before, we are focusing on this component here of our application today, as the first thing. We cannot miss the other components because we are building an MVC application, but our focus today is in this communication, and most importantly, inside of the model. Inside of the model is where we're going to be connecting with an external data source, like a database, okay? But before we do that, so what you see here, in the next slide, I'm going to zoom in this part of our diagram. So here you have the control there, and you have the big model that we're going to be building the different elements of our model here. When you think about this example, the sports store, and if you have gone through the first 4 videos, which model is the first one that comes to mind when you think about the models of this application? The product. Okay, great. So product is the first model, is the first class. Okay, we're going to have a lot more classes here in the model of our application. Okay, so we have one class describing the products, but very quickly, what else do we have there to handle any number of products? A repository. So the first repository that has been created in this application, what is the name of the repository? We have an iProduct, which is not really a class. This is an interface. So interface, what's up with an interface? What's the difference between an interface and a class?
That's a question from me. I saw that here the interface has just one property.
Okay, so interface, it can have.
Interfaces could be only methods.
So interface can be properties, can be methods, but what is it that interface don't have? They don't have a constructor, but let's think about methods. What about methods that interface don't have? They don't have? They can have. They don't have? They only have the name. They don't have the body, the implementation. There's no implementation, okay? So interface is just the the skeleton, the templates of future concrete classes, okay? So we have that iProduct repository. And by the way, here we are using something called the repository pattern. See, object-oriented programming is one big approach to development. But in coding in general, there's this thing called patterns. Patterns is how we solve certain problems over and over again, following a certain model. By model, I don't mean that model there, a certain template. Okay, so in coding, we have patterns. What we're going to be describing here today is a pattern called the repository pattern. I've shared the link, and I'm not sure if I will have time to play the video here, but I shared a link on eCentennial that shows details of, that shows a video explaining a little bit more of what that pattern is about. But I'll also try to explain that as we go along. So we have an interface here. Okay, great. So the first repository that we have, the first concrete repository that we have in our application, what is the name? The fake repository. Okay, so, and by the way, this is not necessarily a UML diagram. This is just a general diagram. However, when we are doing UML diagrams, this dashed line means that this is inheriting from an interface, okay? So we have a fake repository. A fake product repository, it has a bunch of hard-coded products there, okay? Why is that? It's just because it's a very easy way to get our application up and running quickly, so we can send some data to the view, and that's it, okay? So on videos 1, 2, 3, 4, you have gone through this already. What I want to do is I want to visit that code a little bit now. I want to explain a few aspects of the code. Let me open here on Visual Studio. By the way, whether you have done this or not at home, I have provided under source code, I have provided under Sports Store chapter 08. You can download this code that I will be open. You can download from there, okay? So in case, not in case, but once you move forward for step number 5, you can use this as your starting point. So you can download from there. This code that I'm going to open, it's available there on eCentennial for you to follow through as well. Okay, so let's have a quick look here at the fake repository. Okay, so which elements do we have here about the fake repository? Well, we have the, in the model, we have the iRepository, which is the interface. The interface has this property, which is a read-only property. Right now, you just have the get. It's a list of, it's a collection of products, but it's using here this iQueryable. So let's think for a second, what types of collections we have seen so far? Forget about the iQueryable that we have there. Which ones we have seen so far? List. Enumerable interface. Dictionary, we have seen that we have not used here in this particular course, but we have seen that on comp 1, 2, 3. Okay, so enumerable, list. I think there was another one. What is that? Yes, sir. Just 2? Yeah. Okay, so enumerable in list there. Okay, so now I'm introducing yet another one here, iQueryable. iQueryable is yet another collection interface that inherits from enumerable, but it's more efficient. Actually, I already said, but so It's more efficient than enumerable. And I'll explain why. Why are we starting to use now iQueryable as well? Here's how iEnumerable works. And I'm gonna, let's think about a database. Do you remember the where methods in the link, from the link library? What is the purpose of the where methods in the link library?
Testing each thing against a condition.
So we have a condition there, and we are applying a condition. So we have this big collection. If we apply where, we are applying a filter. We are applying a filter. So where applies a filter. Now, when we are using iEnumerable directly, and we need to apply a filter to a product table, with iEnumerable, it brings all the products to memory, and then in memory, in the server's memory, it will apply the where. Where, let's say, where products price greater than $10. So it brings all products to memory, and then in memory, it will filter out the products that don't match that criteria. With iQueryable, iQueryable will work directly in the database, and it will only bring the products from the database that match that criteria. So look at, can you see which one is more efficient? iQueryable, because again, iQueryable is just returning, it's filtering already in the database. It's not bringing a lot of data to memory and then filtering that. So we're going to be starting to use iQueryable quite a lot because of that as well. Right now, we are just working with memory. That's fine because we are working with our fake repository. But you're going to see those being used interchangeably. iEnumerable, iQueryable. iQueryable, again, when we're retrieving data from the database, it's more efficient. So that's why you have iQueryable there. Anyway.
So when shall we use iEnumerable?
iEnumerable, you can use as if a view needs to display a collection of items, you can use iEnumerable as the model, iEnumerable products as the model for a particular view. You could actually use iQueryable as well, but iQueryable, you may have to do a conversion before sending data. Okay, so I would say that when you are using a method like this one that will retrieve data from the database, iQueryable will be more useful in those scenarios. So, but what is it that we don't have here? We don't have an implementation because we're dealing with an interface, okay? So it's a public interface. Now, let's go to our fake repository. So when you hear the word repository, you can think about a collection of data in memory. That data may have come from the database, that data may have come from a JSON file, that data may have come from a third party, an outside system, that data may be hard-coded like this, okay? So repository is a collection of data. Here, we are calling this fake repository, fake product, because we are faking it. We are hard-coding the items here, okay? This should not be too strange for you. I mean, this terminology, it's using Lambda to return. So we have a read-only property. If we have a read-only property, we can use Lambda directly. And then we are creating a new list of products. We are listing the products here. But at the end, I mean, we cannot create directly in iQueryable because iQueryable is an interface. So you cannot create a new iQueryable, okay? But you create a list, and then you can convert that to something that is compatible, that becomes compatible with an iQueryable. So at the end, you can just call squeryable, and you can say, take this list and convert to something that is compatible with an iQueryable list of products. I don't say list, with an iQueryable product, okay?
Why we don't use list instead of iQueryable?
Okay, we could have used list here. We could. Because list, you can use that because we are hard coding this. But
because I think the list implement iQuery and iEnumerator both, so we can use list for everything that need to use iEnumerator.
yeah, but I'll check that. But I'm quite sure that that list, you're going to fall into the same problem as we have with iEnumerable. It will load if and when we need to filter the list. It will filter that in memory, not get that filtered from the data from the database. Now, here's the thing. I'm using also iQueryable because in a step a little bit further down, we're going to be creating our real repository. In our real repository, we're going to have to, it will be preferable to use in iQueryable because it's data efficient. It works more efficiently with data based on the reasons that I give, that it filters them already. So if I have a repository that is in memory and just for the sake of test, it needs to be compatible with what you're going to be using in the near future for our entity framework, our EF product repository. So let me tell you, there are different ways of solving the same issue. Now, I'm just trying to make it clear why we went with one instead of that. Like, for instance, we went with an iQueryable instead of an iEnumerable. That's the reason why. It's data efficient when it's talking to the database. We don't have a database yet. I know that. But we're going to have that in a minute, okay? In a few minutes. So we have our repository with fake products there. What's next? Actually, let's go here. We don't have the database yet. Okay, so that's fine. Let's have a look at the controller. Let's have a look at the controller here. So if we look at the diagram, see, the only, aside from some basic infrastructure, the only points in the application that interacts with the model is via the controller, okay? So the controller needs to be aware, it needs to know about the interface and about the product. It needs to know about these two things. However, from here on, whatever I'll be drawing down here, the controller does not care, should not care, because we are talking about a clear separation of concerns. Controller will be talking, will be interfacing with this interface, and this, the MVC will be the one that will say, okay, controller, anytime you need a repository, I'm going to give you a fake repository, or I'm going to give you a real repository. I'm going to say that again. Controller, it will need a reference to the repository because it needs data. In our case here, if we run the application, it needs to list the list of products. So it needs data. But it does not need to know anything about which repository is being used by this fake repository here. I know that right now we just have this one. We're going to be doing another one down here, a true database repository. The point is that the controller does not need to care, does not need to know about this. Because this part, we can change them. We can change one repository to another repository, and I'll show you why in a bit. But the controller needs this one. Now, I'm saying that the controller needs that interface, but the interface has no implementation. So the controller really needs a real repository, a concrete repository. I don't want to confuse real repository with fake repository. It needs a concrete class repository to use, to draw data from. But it does need to know, this guy here needs to know that. The application needs to know, but the controller, it will be transparent to the controller. the controller doesn't care that this interface is using this or any other potential concrete implementations. Why am I saying that? Okay, so here's why I flipped that. Because in our controller, and we have a product controller there, we have a declaration of a private iProduct repository called repository. So this is our connection. This is the connection between the controller and the data. Via this repository here, any method, any action in the controller can tap into the data. Okay? But this is an iProduct repository. Where in this code that you see in front of you, where are we creating this repository? Because we are not creating the repository here. We are declaring that this guy is an iProduct repository. It's an interface. To use the repository, we need to create with one of the concrete repositories. We just have one. This is the fake repository. But where in this code it's doing that? Where in this code this repository is getting created? It's in front of us. Now, it does not say too much, but what is the other line of code that has repository on it? Well, this guy here, what is this guy? It's a constructor. A constructor of what? Of the product controller. Now, here's the question. Who can tell me where this constructor is called? I'm not creating this controller here. Something is creating that. So, who's creating that? Who's creating this controller? Controller is just a class, a regular class that needs to be created for it to be used. Who's creating that? The startup. Actually, MVC is creating that for us. We are inheriting this from controller, and let me run the application here. Let me show you something. So here we have our 3 fake products. Well, the first question that I'll ask you is, who's the controller in this case? Which controller is running here?
We just have one.
We just have one. So it must be the one, is it? But my point is that, what is the name of the default controller that you have? I have asked this over and over. It's usually called what? Forget about this application for a second. That's the action. The default controller. Home. But we don't have a home here. That's okay. That's okay. We're going to see that when we get to routing. So think of that product as our new default controller. So when we run this application, product is the default controller, and let me confirm here. And list is our default view, default action, sorry. So that controller, the product controller, gets created because of the request. The first request is a request to the product controller, to the list action. That's when this controller gets created. MVC behind the scenes is overseeing all of that, because it receives a request that, in our case here, our default controller is product, then it creates the controller for us. Now, look at that. Okay, let's trust that MVC is creating that for us. But what is it that MVC is sending here? What is this? how MVC can know what should be sent here, which repository should be sent, because here, this constructor is expecting a repository, a real repository. So we have to say somewhere in the application that whenever you need an iProduct repository, give product repository X or Y. Somewhere in our code we have to say that. Startup. So it's in the startup, but more specifically, add transient. Add transient. That's where we are saying that. Again, let me tell you this. If you are able to grasp this, it's halfway through this course. Because who can tell me what's that? I mean, there's a name for dependency injection. That's it. This is called dependency injection. Let's read this name, dependency injection. Dependency is when something depends from another. So this application, in a way, it depends right now. Again, let's forget that we have another repository here. Let's think that we just have the fake repository. This application is, in a way, dependent on this fake product repository to provide data. But we want to avoid an application to be very tied, its components to be very tied together. So the intention is that we can have a general interface being used throughout the application. In one single line of code, one single location, we can say, whenever you need an iProduct repository, give them a fake product repository. That's how MVC knows that, oh, so we have to call the product controller constructor, but it's expecting an iProduct repository. And then it checks in its records. Do I have a mapping that whenever someone needs an iProduct repository, we're going to send a fake product repository? Yes or no? Do we have? Great. I'm going to send it. No? We're going to have an error. Actually, let me show the error here. I'm going to go to the startup. I'm just going to comment this out here. Let's have a look what happens.
Just put the first one, iProduct.
What is that?
Delete the second one. Delete.
Well, I wanted to delete that one. I mean, to remove that one, because I wanted to break the connection between the iRepository and the fake repository. I wanted to break this connection. So let's look at the error message there. You see? Unable to resolve service type. Now, the constructor needs an iProduct repository, but MVC doesn't know what should I give to it, because we broke the mapping. Now, it looks internally in its settings, and it tries to see, okay, he needs an interface, but there is no mapping. This interface is not mapped to anything at this point. So it gives zero. Sorry?
If I would have made no interface but a class, then it can read it.
Well, to use the iTransient, that's how the mapping goes. You have to provide the interface and what concrete implementation.
Like I'm asking, like,
Yep.
I'm not adding that transient, right?
Yep.
So in the other application,
Oh, I see.
we didn't add it.
Here,
If we have made no interface, but we have made this a class and make a repository of iProduct. Let's say iProduct repository is a class, and we make a repository for that.
okay.
And then it can read, right?
It could. Actually, to be honest with you, you could declare here directly, okay, don't use iRepository. Just use straight away fake repository. But what's the problem? What's the problem with that?
You can't insert anything else. You have to go.
Because now you are tying things together. Now all of a sudden, if you need to change one repository for another, you have to go everywhere in your codes that makes reference to fake repository, you have to change that. Instead of going in one single line of codes and changing just here. And change this here. Because that's the reason why this is called dependency injection, because we are configuring our codes to be generic, not to depend in a concrete repository, to depend on an interface. But we are injecting the dependency in one single place here, in one single location. You're going to see that when we implement our entity framework repository, which is a repository based on the database, we're just going to change this line here. And now our application, whatever we built, will behave the same way, because the application, and by application I mean this side here, is talking to the interface. And we just change that, oh, when you need a product, an iProduct repository, no longer give a fake repository, give another repository. Okay, this is a lot, I have to admit. Questions so far? No, because now what we're going to be doing is we're going to be jumping into the implementation of our entity product repository. Let me see if there's any missing pieces here. No, I think that's it. So
would you, sorry,
yes.
in an industry example,
Yes.
would you, because if you lose database connection or something like that, how would you account for that if you've added transient? It would break the
Yeah, so this is not about, there are other strategies that are more database related that would handle a database going down and another one picking that up. But again, this is there in the database. It's not, we don't have to worry about that. Exactly. Now, we're going to see, because someone from another section, the person asked a very good question, is that why bother? Why go through this repository and all of that? Again, one of the reasons is to make things loosely tied. Because here's the thing, you may think, and I'll show that a little bit better. I'm just going to use one database connection. Why do I need to cater for potentially having multiple repositories? Well, yes, you're going to be handling one database. However, and I don't want to touch on that right now, but the strategy you use to connect to the database, you can have multiple strategies. So you may want to try another strategy that you think that might be more efficient. And to try that, again, create a new repository and just flip one line of code so it can use the other. And I don't want to over confuse you right now. So here's what we're going to do. First, we're going to go for a 5 minutes break. So again, we brief a little bit. Then we're going to go for 50 minutes on step number 5. Step number 5 will show you step by step how to implement the entity framework repository. So we're going to go through that. I'll be walking around. I'll be helping you. But then after 50 minutes, I will be walking you through the code that you just tried to do. I'll be explaining that code to you. Okay? So 5 minutes, we come back, and we get that started. Okay?
Said on the first class about the assignments,
The delay? Okay, I have to check here.
Yeah,
because different classes had different setups. So, okay, so where do I find that? I have to see my notes here. This says 004, so 4.
11:30. I think I can make it, but I'm not sure.
Okay, let's see. Do I have that? Books. Oh, so, 4. Peace. Notes here.
没有改吗？是吗？我其实已经改了。你看这个，哎，本来我选的这个跟以前的 arena 就没什么两样。
Tiago, give me a second. I'll just look through. I'll let you know, okay?
No problem.
Okay, so let's do this. Let's dedicate the next, and you're gonna see, I mean, it's a 15 minutes video, but you're gonna see why you need 50 minutes to put it together. If you get it faster, that's fine, you can keep moving forward, but I would ask you to, one, if you need to, if you want to, you can download the source code for part 4, and then with that source code, you can start under the playlist of week 4. This playlist. Let me post this. I'm gonna post that on Padlet. Okay, I'll address this question in a second. So this is the link to the sports store, the playlist. So you can start on video number 5. Again, you're gonna see that it's 14 minutes, but I want to give enough time so you can pause and you can reproduce what it's doing there. So let's take the next 50 minutes, work on that. I'll be walking around, I'll be assisting, and after that we pause, and I'll walk you through what needs to be done to get this done and explain the codes as we go along as well. Okay? Any questions? Okay, so I see a question here. So So under view imports, why we use at using sports store model in the early classes we didn't have to, we only had, okay. So who can help me answer that question? Under the view imports, why are we using at using sports store models?
You can add it here, you don't need to add it.
Exactly. So if you add the sports store.models to the view imports, when you are in specific views, when you go and you do something like this, at model students, you just need to put student. You don't need to put sports store, sorry, not student product. You no longer need to put at sports store.models.product. You can shorten that and just put product there. It becomes available to all the other views. And then if you have follow-up questions, let me know. I'll be checking that. Tiago, I couldn't find. I didn't find my notes on that. I'll find that later, but consider one day tolerance.
To Friday.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Tomorrow is
Yeah.
October 3rd.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Okay, I'm gonna take a quick attendance here. So Akil. Okay. Ashlyn. Brian. Dayon Lee. Duc Tang. Harshu. Inran. Irvin. Jane. January. Pluto. Jordan. Yep. June Lee. Yep. Ken Jung.
Yeah.
Yep. Coolite. Li Peng. Matthew. Milan. Min Lee. Sergio. Santham. Sergio. Simon. Tanai. Tanvi. Tiago. Tuan. Ting. Wei Yang Chen. Okay. Yen Hao. Ipan.
Yeah.
Yon Seop Lee. Zidane. If I did not call your name, just let me know. You did call. Ashlyn? Oh, no.
I think I called different. I thought I asked Imran.
Imran. Okay.
I responded.
Yeah, you respond for this. Ashlyn? Yeah, so she's not.
I copied it and then.
Okay, that's great because that reminds me that I should have shown a slide here. I'm gonna show that for everyone. Okay, there is one little piece of the video that will ask you to do something in the program class, and because the video is actually based on version 2.0 of the framework, and we are using 2.1, so there is a minor difference. This should be the correct line. So whatever you see there in the video, you have to make just the adjustment here. This is the correct line to be used on that when it says about disable scope verification. This is the correct one. You may have not reached that yet, that's fine, but when you reach, you will know.
I can't make it work.
Okay, so that's the problem. So I'm going to write that station down. You have to find another one. Unfortunately, there's no quick fix for that one. I have to report to IT, so they come and they fix that. Okay, so I'm going to just write down. So that's 17. Okay, sorry about that. You have to find another one. Well, yeah, that's the one. Should
It's build.
Yeah, that's fine. So that line, you see, on yours. Yeah, you just add the line there as the last one.
So circular. This is massive.
Yeah, because you are see, look, use startup. It doesn't finish in semicolon. You get rid of the semicolon here, because it's a dot. It's a continuation. It's a bunch of methods being called methods. Okay.
Dot build. Should we add
Yeah.
this too?
No, don't add. This is the final result. Because again, this thing here was based on 2.1. Sorry, 2.0. We are doing based on 2.1. That's the final code will look like this. Your code, see, it's looking just fine.
Yeah.
See, look. So it's all good.
All right. All right.
Okay, so okay. So, most likely there's an error in your code. So before you try to run the commands, go to the project and try to build there. Go there, because most likely there will be an error there. Go to the project, build it. Just go here to build, and then rebuild solution. Okay, so no, it's not done yet. It's still building.
Yeah.
Okay, so where's? Okay, wait a little bit.
It's ready.
Yeah, no, but I think it's still processing because there's no success message there. See? Okay, so it succeeded. So go back there to the command line, run that command again.
What's the problem with the command line?
What's up?
It's with the command line?
Yeah. You have problems? Problems? Okay, that's okay. See, it worked.
Need to work.
It worked now. What's up? Okay, so in the command line, let me make sure, because it might be the same thing. Before you run the command line, make sure that the project is fully saved and it's compiling. So try to compile it once, and then if it's compiling, all good, then run the command. Okay?
How can I change my hard disk?
To the hard disk, it's in the hard disk. So it's C.
in C. Yeah, I have.
You want to change
the
to where?
reference to D.
To D. So put D, some D column.
D column.
Yeah, and enter. That's it. Then you can navigate your folder there.
Oh.
Okay? Which one?
The
The-
view result. The view result, right? So I know for that it's you basically on the URL on the top part you change by page, right?
Okay, let me just have a look. So, which part are you asking for? The page number?
Yeah.
Okay. So, page number is a parameter, okay, for this action. The way parameters are transferred from the URL to the action. Look, see the parameter there? Do you see a page number there in the URL?
In the URL.
Yeah.
I know an example. You basically every time you change the page number.
Yeah,
and got
it
the
goes to the other one. Sorry. So what's your question? Which parts you're...
What's this? That's what this part does?
Yeah, okay, so this is calling the repository, bringing the products, and first off it says order the list by product ID. So that's what this is doing. It's ordering. Second, skip. Skip is just that if you are in page 2, I think that is 4 here. So if you're on page 2, we need to skip the first 4 records, so we can show page 2. We skip the first 4 records, and we show from the 5th on up to page size. So take this number of records. Take page size is 4. So let's say page 2. Page 2 means that 2 minus 1, 1, times page size, 4. So what it says is skip 4, so go to the 5th one, and from the 5th one, take 4. So you take 4 from the 5th one. This way we can page through the records.
It's basically.
This is
Summing up, it's kind of like a formula that tells it to
it's kind of a formula. It's a
separate it, but then.
Yeah, so again, the different commands are doing different things. First one, order. Second one, skip, so it does the paging. The third one, it says skip 4, but then take 4. And then it takes 4 records. So that's how we are able to navigate in page. Make sense? Yeah, sure.
For the assignment, actually.
Yep.
For the assignment, based on what you're looking for, the first page, introduction.
A general.
General.
Yep.
And is there a button basically?
It can be links. It can be links, but you can make it however you want, as long as for the first one we are able to see the list of recipes, to add a recipe. Then from the list of recipes, we can click in a recipe and we can see details. Now, we are talking about hard-coded HTML. So if you click recipe of chicken, that's okay to show the pork recipe. That's okay, because we don't have dynamic data yet. Assignment 2, we're going to have dynamic data, but not assignment 1. Assignment 1 is just about, are you showing information, even if it's hard-coded? Are you able to navigate from one view to the other view? And then we have the right review, review view, which is how you review a book in Amazon. You put 5 stars, 4 stars, something like that. But it can be,
So it doesn't. So
Go ahead.
So for example, on the home page, it says introduction, welcome to this page, and then afterwards it's hyperlink, view recipe.
View recipes.
Recipe.
Yeah, that's a list.
And then underneath that will be chicken or or did you want that when you press view recipes, it takes you to another link?
It should take to another link. So don't do in the same view. So we have 5 views there. We have home view, we have the view list,
Add a view,
add,
review,
and
I think feedback. No,
so add. I think it's 5. Home, list, view recipe.
yeah.
Then add and review.
Okay. So on the home page.
Yep.
So we're looking at technically speaking.
Yep.
There'll be the home button, and there's view recipes, and you know how it says list recipes and then view recipes. With
Yeah.
view
So
recipe,
one second.
can't put view
So
recipes.
here's the thing. View, it only makes sense for you to view a recipe if you chose the recipe.
So it makes sense on the home page list of recipes will have view recipes.
Well, you can do that too. But again, if you put the list directly in the home, there's no point of having a home view and a list view if they are the same thing. Okay. Again, there's nothing wrong with doing that, but I would be expecting 5 views there. Home is one, the list is not there. The list of products is not there. Just a general information, maybe a big picture that shows a fancy recipe, something like that. And then you have some sort of navigation, maybe some buttons as you're saying, list recipes, list of recipes. You click there, then you see the list of recipes. Click on one recipe, then you go to the view recipe.
So that's fine. If it does it on the both page, it doesn't exactly show you
The list. No, it shows the navigation. The home page should be the navigation for the other views. Not to all of them, because don't put a view recipe.
technically.
Yeah.
Under view recipe, list recipe is where view.
Yes,
recipe will come
yes.
So I don't need to link.
In the home page to review. Exactly. Like where it makes sense. I mean, how can I view a recipe if I didn't select the recipe?
And then last, and then feedback and stuff.
The review. Is that the review?
The review, you know how because you're kind of submitting a review as well, right?
Yep.
Does that need to actually see the
To save? No. Again, no dynamic data, nothing saved. Next step, we're going to take care of that.
So
But
this
no
one
saving.
Just display
Just a little form that has submit button that you click there, it goes back to where
homepage.
it can be the home page.
Or
Or, exactly,
to the review.
should be, so if you are in the review little form there that you have comments, you click submit. Where did you go to get to the review? Where did you go from?
Go to the original one.
No, I'm asking actually before that. Let's say that you are not in the review yet. Where are you then to be able to go to the review?
It should be either under home or under navigation.
Yeah, but how are you going to click on review recipe if you don't select the recipe yet? You have to select the recipe
So
first.
underneath the recipes.
It could be. It could be. Okay?
Thanks.
Okay, no problem.
Access to the products coding, or we have to?
Oh, actually, that's a good point. I should have mentioned that. I'll upload. If you don't want to type in the seed data, I'll upload here to what is the name? Slack. I'll open Slack here and upload to it. So we're here. So 4 general. Okay. Okay, so again, if you don't want to type in the seed data, you can get it from general under Slack in the general channel. Return a second. Okay, having problems compiling? Okay, so go back to your project.
Okay.
Yeah, try to compile your project. Let's see if it's compiling properly. Save it. There is something there that is not saved. Save everything. See, there are many things that are not saved. You could save all. and then try to compile. No, go back there, go to Visual Studio, go to Build, yep, and then go to Rebuild Solution. Let's see how it goes. Okay, so there is a problem there. Minor problem. Okay. Try again, try to compile again. Build. Okay, so all good, see? Succeeded. Then go back there, and now try to run it again, the command. You can just put arrow up, yeah?
This again or only to start open?
Or just the migration, just this one, yeah. Let's have a look. See, it's done.
Oh, yeah.
All good, no problem.
Would it be possible to upload the C to descend
Yeah, I can upload there.
Because I can't remember my style.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, on Centeno, I uploaded the entire project, step number 5. You can download it from it, and you can unzip. It will be there. Yep.
One question. In the beginning, I was using this data.
Yep.
After you upload, I change. But right now, they still using the same data.
Same
they
data.
not change. You hear? The new data is here.
So it's using seed data or it's using fake data, fake repository?
No, I'm using
The new
seed
one, the seed data.
yes,
Okay.
seed data.
So I saw that. What is the problem?
Here. Kayak.
Okay, so here, so I think that you missed one little line there. Go back to your seed data. Go to your seed data class. Scroll all the way up. All the way up. Okay, down. Okay. 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 Did you change this code recently or
No,
was
I'm saying in the beginning I put kayak. I will upload the new code. I changed the code.
Okay.
This date.
How
here,
about
I changed.
okay? So here's the thing. So initially you put kayak. You put,
yes.
oh, so here's the thing. See this test here?
Yeah.
If look at this if. This if is saying that if there is. Let me step back. So seed data will run every time that you run the application. But just imagine that. So every time you run the application, it will create all those records again and again and again. It will keep growing. The application will keep growing. We want seed data just to do an initial load of data in our system. Okay? Just the initial load. Once it's done, we don't want it to keep running. So what is happening is that, you see this if? It's saying, if there is any data in the products table, don't run this. So there is data there.
Yes.
So you have two options here. You can download the database and just regenerate it, or you can go to the database and delete the records. Delete all of them. So go to View and go to SQL Server Object Explorer. Be there in a second. Expand this one, the first one. Yeah, expand that. It's not showing. Oh, actually, try to stop the application there. Yeah. So expand database. Do you have more than one Visual Studio? No.
No.
Okay, so again, SQL Server Object Explorer. Expand databases. Okay. Yeah, okay, it's just that it's a little bit slow in yours here.
Yes.
So you see the database? Well, first be careful because you have spores store. Okay, so be careful there. The database name is a bit wrong. It's spores. You're putting spores store. But that's okay. You see the error there? The misspelling? That's okay. Right click. Let's delete it. Let's get rid of it so it can be recreated, okay? So delete. Close connections. Yep. Okay. Let's fix that misspelling. Go to the app settings. See, sports. Now run the application again, it will work. Because now we delete the database. When you run again, it will recreate and it will add those products. Okay? Okay, so go back to your application. Try to compile it. Go to Build, Build menu, Rebuild solution. Well, let's see that it finished rebuilding because I don't see any. See, it's still building. See, there's an error there. Double click the first one. So have a look at that. Go to the previous line. It might be in the line above it. Go to the very end. Okay. So now try to recompile again. Go back there. Build. Yeah. Let's see if it will work. Still doing. So compile. Rebuild all succeeded. You see? Then let's go back there to the command line. Just hit the keyword. Yeah. Go ahead. Give it a try. Because if the application is not compiling, this will fail. Let's see if it's that. All good. Those are just some warnings, but that's fine. It's all good. It created. Okay. No problem. Yep. What's up? Okay, so show me the line in the startup that you are connecting to the database. Scroll. Go to the start. Yeah. So, which line are you oh, sorry. So you see this line here. Go to the very end of it. The line that you're connected. Okay. Scroll up. This. No. Go back where you were before. Go back. Yeah. See this line? You're connecting the database in this line. You scroll. Yeah. Keep scrolling. There's something. There's a misspelling somewhere, because it's not finding that connection string. So somewhere, double check. Somewhere there's a misspelling. Okay. Yeah. Most likely that's what caused that usually. It's a misspelling somewhere. Compare that with what you put in the app settings. The app settings.json. Yeah. Open that. Okay, scroll this way. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, double check.
Okay.
Double check if it's all a good match. Okay. If you still face the problem, just let me know.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
So mine is clicking back saying the connection connection was reset. I misclicked on one of the security things earlier, but
Okay, so
reset it.
so let's check a few things there. Let's go to your solution, and then let's right-click there. Yep, right-click. Let's go to properties. Let's see if SSL is checked or not. Go to debug. See, disable SSL. See down there? Yep.
Oh.
Just uncheck that. Try to save it, and let's see. It might be that. Yep. Save it. Compile again. Run it again. Okay.
There we are. Okay,
Good.
perfect. Thank you very
Awesome.
much.
Yep.
So where is this come from? Yeah.
Okay, so that one is from MVC. MVC does a lot of things behind the scenes. So in that case, when MVC creates the startup class, it injects which configuration needs to go there. So it's the framework doing that for you on your behalf. It does that behind the scenes. I mean, there's no place that we can pinpoint. Oh, it's this line of code that is creating that. It's the framework creating that.
So it's just transfer the MVC's configuration to this configuration.
That's what we are doing here. Yes, correct. We are setting this configuration that is created by MVC. We are setting to our configuration here, to our local configuration. And then we are able, with that, to access the database connection string from the JSON file.
So we cannot access the MVC's configuration directly. We have to use the...
Yes, you have to use, it's one more case of dependency injection. We are depending on MVC to tell us, give me a configuration object. And MVC is giving that for us.
So we can change the configuration.
If we can change...
Because here we just change the configuration.
Yeah, we are giving the path to the configuration in the app settings file. This path here is the one, matches the one in your app settings. If you open there, see, data, sports store products, connection string. That will return this thing here.
So we cannot change the name. The name should be like this.
Yes, it should. It's a standard name. Okay? So many details, huh? It is.